que no llore más, a que no piense en mí. Si yo te había olvidado, por fin había logrado no pensar en ti. Si todo fue blasfemia, tú nunca me quisiste, porque mientes así. Si no es posible que me engañes más, no implores más, no me busques más. Escucha este consejo, no vuelvas a engañar en el mundo jamás.
¡Ay, ay, ay!
Como ayer, como ayer, como ayer, como ayer. Como ayer,
Dicen que muere de espanto
como ayer,
aquel que visiones ve.
como ayer,
Pero dicen que muere de espanto
como ayer,
aquel que visiones ve.
como ayer,
Yo he visto la muerte en Sanco,
como ayer,
no sé si me moriré.
como ayer,
Mi madre me dijo un día,
como ayer,
Tito, ¿por qué tú no cantas?
como
Mi
ayer,
madrecita me dijo un día,
como ayer,
Tito, ¿por qué tú no cantas?
como ayer,
Si yo te di la garganta
como ayer,
de acero y mampostería.
como ayer.
Vaya Irene, sabrosón con ese tren. El tercero sinfónico.
Como ayer, como ayer, como ayer, como ayer, como ayer.
Well, good morning if it's morning, good evening if it's evening, and good night if it's night. And a big hearty salam alaikum to each and every one of you that's listening to us live or will be listening to us in archive. I gotta tell you, I jumped back on the bicycle yesterday and I was very happy to do yesterday's show, and I'm so happy to be here with you today. There were a couple of things I wanted to speak about. I want to speak about men today. I want to speak about spiritual men and mundane men. There seems to be something going on in our community. There happens to be a lot of broken folks around here. A lot of depression, a lot of self-hate, a lot of not knowing your self-worth. We, as black and brown people, have to be some of the most underdiagnosed humans on this earth. See, it's more than just taking a spiritual bath or speaking to your ancestors or any of that. A lot of our young and old men are suffering through either bipolar disorders or depression or ancestral trauma. But no one is diagnosing this. No one is telling us, you need to speak to someone. You need to get this thing off your chest, and sometimes even off your backs. I propose, and I've been proposing for the last couple of months, see, because our sisters got it down packs. They have workshops, they have meet and greets where they are healing themselves. But who is healing us? Who is taking the time to tell us, hey, brother, you need to go on ahead and talk to somebody and reserve those pent-up angers, those times where you don't feel like going out, those times when you don't feel like you're yourself, when you feel that the burden or the weight of the world is upon your back. I see it every day when I look online, when I see a young security guard who got murdered while stopping a mass shooting. I see it from Tamir Rice, the young man who got killed, also by police. I see people suffering from incest, or men suffering from incest, suffering from not having self-worth. See, I believe in spirit. I believe in the ancestors. I believe in all this. But you have to see also that many of our ancestors also were suffering through these same traumas. So we need self-help groups. We need counselors, real counselors in our communities, that we as black and brown men, and even white men, need to sit down and unload our burdens. See, it's okay when you walk into an Ile, a house, a munaso, a voodoo house, and you have all these seemingly strong men. But again, I say seemingly, because we are in a society that we must be these strong men all the time, where we can't say, hey man, my rent is due, I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do. I got 2 women and a side chick, I don't know what the fuck, I don't know why, I can't stop this. Yes, ancestral reverence is a part of it, but many of our ancestors also need to be fixed. So where do we go? Where are the people inside of our community where we as men can go speak to? See, the time is now. It's the time of healing. See, for most of you who do not know, I went through a stretch of depression early in the year. Yes, I did stop and talk to my elders in my tradition, but I also needed to go speak to someone else about it. Because all this chemical makeup and all these things would have surely slid me down the wrong path. As I get my walking feet, I feel that now is the time to talk about it. And tell you brothers, man, we got your back. Non-judgmental. But if you really need to speak to somebody, other than your hard-headed godfathers or godmothers, go seek out the help of a professional. It doesn't make you less of a man. It makes you a man that's on the road to recovery and getting ready to do bigger things. And then, just maybe then, you can help out another brother. See, I went through a little health thing maybe about 1.5 years ago, that if I wouldn't have sat down and told people, hey man, these things are happening to me, I would have never found out that I was suffering from diabetes. And here I am thinking that my dick was going sour. See, I don't care what walk of life you come through, or what it is that you think is plaguing you. There is always someone that's been through the same steps or been through the same things. See, because there's nothing new up under the sun. I don't want to hear that our ancestors did not go through the same things that we went through. Whether it be drugs, incest, alcoholism, or just plain old machismo. I'm not telling you to stop being a man. As a matter of fact, I'm telling you to embrace being a man. Embrace it. But who do we go to? Who do we speak to? And if you're not getting it from your spiritual house, do yourself a favor. Go speak to a professional. I got your back. Because Lord knows someone had my back when I was feeling down. There's nothing wrong in seeking help. And hand in hand with your ancestors, hand in hand with your Orisha, hand in hand with your brothers and sisters in your LA, and hand in hand with some professional folks, you can honestly get to it. You can honestly beat the cycle. I'll be right back. Either way, my name is Candelo Kimbisa, and this is It's 12 O'Clock Somewhere.
When I wake up in the morning, love, and the sunlight hurts my eyes, and something without warning, love, bears heavy on my mind. Then I look at you, and the world's alright with me. Just one look at you, and I know it's gonna be a lovely day. The day that lies ahead of me seems impossible to face, when someone else instead of me always seems to know the way. Then I look at you, and the world's alright with me. Just one look at you, and I know it's gonna be a lovely day. When the day that lies ahead of me seemed impossible to face, and when someone else instead of me always seems to know the way, then I look at you, and the world's alright with me. I just one look at you, and I know it's gonna be a lovely day.
Many of us That was Bill Withers with Lovely Day. It is funny to me because many of us come into our spiritual practices full of pride. And pride holds no place inside of spirituality. I sit back and think about my prideful days or the ways that I try to hold down my pride. And many of times, my pride has kept me from seeking out the real help that I needed, the real solace I needed, the real conversations with my elders, the real conversations with my ancestors, the real conversations with Spirit. Seeking help for my depression, for my alcoholism, and maybe sometimes even for my drug use. I can happily say I've been clean for quite a while now. But with those things came emotional traumas, came hurt, and sometimes even hurting others. But through all these things that I spoke up prior to the wonderful Bill Withers song, I have learned to accept myself and my shortfalls. So I ask you all to listen to this story. This story comes from shortspiritualstories.com. Once upon a time there lived a dwarf who was learned, wise and skilled in archery. Little did anyone know that he was actually a Bosavita. He was called Little Archer, knowing well that his appearance would hinder him from getting a job with the king. Little Archer made a pact with a strongly built man called the Fearmaker to seek employment as the king's archer while he would carry out the real work. They would divide the pay equally amongst themselves. Things worked out for the Little Archer, had planned, and the Fearmaker became the king's chief archer. With the Little Archer's advice, the Fearmaker managed to kill one man-eating beast and a ravaging bull for the king. This earned him a lot of praise, but the success made Fearmaker more proud, and he had no longer heeded the Little Archers for his advice. One day, Fearmaker asked to fight a large enemy army, and he could not do it. He had to seek Little Archer's help, who defeated the army easily and was suitably awarded by the king. The Fearmaker realized his mistake and went back to his village. The author of the story is unknown, but greatly appreciated. Remember, the website is called spiritualshortstories.com. Please go by there and check it out. I actually love that page. So do check that out. I've learned a lot from it, and hopefully you will too. Well, I guess it's time to play another song. Let's play Madre Agua by Oclock Ilu. Definitely something to think about.
Madre agua, yo tabarario. Piquinini, yo tabarario. Madre agua, yo tabarae. Mi garondera, mi garondera. Madre agua, yo tabarario. Arunga sube, arunga va. Madre agua, yo tabarario. Más 7 veces, madre agua, yo tabarario, mi garondera, madre agua, yo tabarae, yo está llamando madre lago, madre agua, yo tabarae, los madre cheche, los madre lago, madre agua, yo tabarae, yo está llamando Santa María, Madre Dios. Corta la caña para el ingenio. Santa María, Madre Dios. Vamos, vamos, siempre ensaya. Santa María, Madre Dios. Dame la ronda, los pies que tenemos. Santa María, Madre Dios. Manerango. Santa María, Madre Dios. Manecheche. Santa María, Madre Dios. Manetundo. Santa María, Madre Dios. Vamos, Pedro. Santa María, Madre Dios. Vamos, Pedro. Santa María, Madre Dios. Fuente Yanga. Santa María, Madre Dios. Manerango. Poco de algo de la Río. Vengo de mi vengo de la Río. Poco de algo de la Río. Yo vengo de mi vengo de la Río. Poco de algo de la Río. Yo vengo de mi vengo de la Río. Un poco de algo de la Río. Yo vengo de mi vengo de la Río. Un poco de algo de la Río. Yo vengo de mi vengo de la Río. Un poco de algo. El agua del mar con el agua del río. El agua del mar con el agua del río. Yo me lleva todo lo malo con el agua del mar. El agua del mar con el agua del río. El agua del mar con el agua del río. Yo me lleva todo lo malo con el agua del mar. Con el agua del río.
Con el agua del mar.
Con el agua del río.
Con el agua del mar.
Con el agua del río.
Con el agua del mar.
Con el agua del río. Con el agua del mar. Con el agua del río. El agua del mar. Con el agua del río. Yo me lleva todo lo malo con el agua del mar. Con el agua del río.
Con el agua del mar.
Con el agua del río.
Con el agua del mar.
Con el agua del río.
Con el agua del mar.
Con el agua del río. Con el agua del mar. Con el agua del río. El agua del mar. Con el agua del río. Yo me lleva todo lo malo con el agua del mar. Con el agua del río.
Con el agua del mar.
Con el agua del río.
Con el agua del mar.
Con el agua del río.
Con el agua del mar.
Con el agua del río.
Con el agua del mar.
Con el agua del río.
Con el agua del mar.
Con el agua del río.
Con el agua del mar.
El agua del río.
Con el agua del mar.
El agua del río.
Con el agua del mar.
El agua del río.
Con el agua del mar.
Con el agua del río.
Con el agua del mar.
El agua del río.
Con el agua del mar.
El agua del río. Santa María, María, Mare agua.
Santa María, Madre Dios.
Mare lago.
Santa María, Madre Dios.
Santa arena.
Santa María, Madre Dios.
Vamos caca.
Santa María, Madre Dios.
Bianco, bianco.
Santa María, Madre Dios.
Campo de mar.
Santa María, Madre Dios. Santa María, Madre Dios.
Bianco, bianco.
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 Santa María, Madre Dios.
Bianco, lente.
Santa María, Madre Dios.
I gotta tell you, if I may, I would love you to put the young lady's name that passed away this weekend. There was a young mother who passed away this weekend. There was a young lady who passed away this weekend, an Uber driver. And I'm looking for the actual name. I can't find it now. There was a young lady in North Carolina who was an Uber driver who lost her life this weekend. And her family is looking for help for burial expenses. We all know that Uber drivers do not make a whole lot of money. And we need everybody to look out. So hopefully, Ifa you will put the young lady's name in the thing, and I'll be able to share the name with you, and hopefully my listeners will be able to contribute whatever they can. As you know, each and every holiday season, I ask for the same thing for my listeners. Ifa Ibeyu is having a toy drive in New York City. Please do contact her on her Facebook page, Ifa Ibeyu, and go over there and check her out, man. And guys, I've always said this. We take as spiritual practitioners so much out of our communities. We thrive in these communities, or we thrive from things that we have learned from said communities. It is time for us to give back to the communities during this holiday season. I know many of you say, well, us conscious folks do not believe in this, we do not believe in that. Well, Kwanzaa's coming up. There's a lot of things that are coming up, man, and there's so many children in our communities that are lacking things, that are missing things, even a simple plate of food. So I ask you all to look into your churches, your neighborhood barbershops, your neighborhood grocery stores, and all these things that patronize our communities, and start a toy drive, start a food drive, start something, give something back to these communities that we have taken so much from. Now I'm telling you to do this, but I'm not asking you to go ahead and take a picture of it and post it on Facebook, or take a video of it and post it on Facebook. No. Do it. Do it quietly. Do it stealthily. Do it for your communities, or for the community that you got so much from and then you ran the fuck away from. Do yourself a favor. Do your community a favor. Give back. Give back. It is important that you give back. Well, guys, you know that many of shops listen to us daily, listen to myself, and it's 12 o'clock somewhere daily. So I'm going to send a quick shout out to the people that I know are listening to me inside their prospective shops or inside their .com shops. We got Ifeanyi Bayu from Love Supply Botanica, who listens to us each and every day. Let's talk about the Yvette the Motown Witch, who happens to be inside her little shop right now with the music turned up and listening to me talk shit. Of course, the people in Conjure, New Orleans. Ritual Craft in beautiful Denver, Colorado. The Conjure Shop in beautiful Omaha, Nebraska. Let me remind you that Ifeanyi Bayu is going to be at the Conjure Shop soon. So go ahead and book your things, check out Izzy and check out these people, and go over there and get your readings from her if you happen to be in and around the Conjure Shop. I gotta tell you, the response at the Conjure Shop was so big when I was there that I automatically fell in love with Omaha and the Conjure Shop. I had over 45 readings in a matter of 2 days. The classes went phenomenal and everything was great. And I gotta tell you that we're thinking about taking the Conjure Gala to Omaha, Nebraska in either May or April of next year. So get ready for that, guys. If you happen to be in Omaha, if you're listening to me right now at the Conjure Shop, remember that we will be there either in April or in May. And later on, we'll be in Salem, Massachusetts. So things are growing, things are getting good. I'm telling you, we got a hell of a backing behind us. Everybody's pulling their weight. Everybody's doing their thing. We actually, I'm not going to even put out everything that's going on right now, but things are going marvelous. And remember, if you want to be a part of it, hit me up at kimbisa.org or Candelo Kimbisa at Facebook, Gmail, and Instagram. Well, let me play a little bit of more Lucas Grandoli with Negro Fino and his group Baragón. When we get back, we'll be reading another story from the adventures of High John the Conqueror by Steve Sandfield. Of course, this has become one of my favorite books. So, I'll be right back.
Negro, que me dé la mano, tiene que ser negro fino. Blanco, que me dé la mano, tiene que ser mayombero como yo.
Negro, que me dé la mano.
Que me dé la mano.
Tiene que ser negro fino.
Negro fino.
Blanco, que me dé la mano.
Que me dé la mano.
Tiene que ser mayumbero como yo.
Ay, negro, que me dé la mano. Tiene que ser gallo fino. Blanco, que me dé la mano. Tiene que ser mayombero como yo.
Negro, que me dé
tiene que ser gangulero como yo.
Negro que me dé la mano,
Que me dé la mano.
tiene que ser negro fino.
Negro fino.
Blanco que me dé la
Que
mano,
me dé la mano.
tiene que ser mayumbero como yo.
Tiene que ser, tiene que ser, tiene que ser mayombero como yo.
Tiene que ser, tiene que ser, tiene que ser mayumbero como yo.
Ajá, tiene que ser, tiene que ser, tiene que ser mayombero como yo.
Tiene que ser, tiene que ser, tiene que ser mayumbero como yo.
Negro, que me dé la mano, tiene que ser negro fino. Blanco, que me dé la mano, tiene que ser mayombero como yo.
Negro que me dé la
Que me dé la
mano,
mano,
tiene que ser negro fino.
negro fino.
Blanco que me dé la
Que me dé
mano,
la mano,
tiene que ser mayumbero como yo.
tiene que ser, tiene que ser, tiene que ser mayombero como yo.
Tiene que ser, tiene que ser, tiene que ser mayumbero como yo.
Tiene que ser, tiene que ser, tiene que ser gangulero como yo.
Tiene que ser, tiene que ser, tiene que ser mayumbero como yo.
África, 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 África nada más, África te estoy llamando,
Africana más,
África te estoy llamando,
africana más,
yo te llamo y te llamo,
africana más,
ay África te estoy llamando,
africana más,
ay África qué linda eres,
africana más,
ay yo te llama y te llama,
africana más,
ay África, África mía,
africana más,
África, África mía,
africana más,
África te estoy llamando,
africana más,
África, África mía,
africana más,
África mía,
africana más,
Agua que se quema, agua sami candela brava.
agua que se quema, agua San Miguel Candela brava,
Agua que se quema, agua sami candela brava.
agua que se quema, agua San Miguel Candela brava,
Agua que se quema, agua sami candela brava.
agua que se quema, agua San Miguel Candela brava,
Agua que se quema, agua sami candela brava.
agua que se quema, agua San Miguel Candela brava,
agua San Miguel, agua San Miguel, agua San Miguel Candela brava,
agua que se quema,
Arriba los seres que están coronando allá arriba.
Agua va a caer.
Arriba los seres que están coronando allá arriba.
Agua va a caer.
Arriba los seres que están coronando allá arriba.
Agua va a caer.
Arriba los seres que están coronando allá arriba.
Agua va a caer.
Arriba los seres que están coronando allá arriba.
Agua va a caer.
Arriba los seres que están coronando allá arriba.
Agua va a caer.
Ye maina, maina ye maina.
Ye maina.
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 Maina chenche maina.
Che maina.
Maina chenche maina.
Che maina.
Chenche maina.
Che maina.
Ku maina. Maina ku maina.
Ko maina.
Cuenta maina.
Ko maina.
Cuenta maina.
Ko maina.
Arriba en todo maina.
Ko maina.
Cuenta maina.
Ko maina.
Maina 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 cuenta maina.
Maina cuenta.
Cuenta maina.
Maina cuenta.
Cuenta maina.
Maina
Cuenta
cuenta.
maina.
Maina
Cuenta
cuenta.
maina.
Maina cuenta.
Cuenta maina.
Maina cuenta.
Cuenta maina.
Maina cuenta.
Cuenta maina.
Maina cuenta.
Well, that was Lucas Bandoli with his group, Barangong. Yes, sirree, buddy. Everybody keeps on talking about the cold. I didn't know that Texas would be that cold. It was 24 degrees out here yesterday. And we had a slight frost or a freeze go on. I woke up to my grass being as white as the hair on my chinny chin chin. I also want to send a quick shout out to Oh So Divine. Oh So Divine is a little metaphysical store based in the UK that listens to our show each and every day. I want to send a quick shout out to the proprietors of that lovely place, Oh So Divine. So if you're tired of getting bamboozled by the high prices of shipping and all that thing from the United States, please do check out Oh So Divine. It's in the UK, in London, England. So check out that little store. They also happen to be somebody that listens to us all the time. Today's reading, I've already done one spiritual reading, but this one is rather good because I absolutely love this book. It's called The Adventures of High John the Conqueror by Stephen Sandfield. 16 African-American folktales, short, funny, and entertaining. It is published by August House. It is from their American Storytelling section. This one, that one. One chilly midwinter's day, old master sent John to town to do a little bit of business for him. It was late afternoon before John started back. Flat frost rimmed the edges of the road. The sun had already skipped behind the piney woods in the west, and the sky was black as the bottom of a deep well. By the time John passed the cemetery, the graveyards were places where the dead people and ghosts lived, and John didn't want anything to do with these folks. He quickened his pace, but as he walked to the gate, he thought he heard someone talking. One part of him told John to keep moving as fast as he could, but the other part made him creep closer till he could listen better. You take this one, and I'll take that one. You take this one, and you take that one, a voice said. And John was listening to, what John was listening to was two slaves dividing up a sack of sweet potatoes they had liberated from Master's root cellar earlier that day. They figured that since no one ever went into the cemetery after dark, it would be a safe place for them to split up their bounty. When John heard the voice say again, you take this one, and I'll take that one, He thought, oh my goodness, it's judgment day has come. That must be the Lord and the devil dividing up everyone's souls. Not desiring to be around such an event, John scooted out of there faster than lightning, flashing across the sky. He got back to the plantation without as much as taking a breath. There was Master waiting for him, as he always was. Glad to see you moving so fast, John. That's the way I like to see you move. Now, how did business go, he said. Forget about business, Master. There is more important business going down than your business. The Lord and the devil are down at the graveyard dividing souls at this very moment. Don't start with your foolishness, John. Just tell me how it went. It ain't no foolishness. I'm telling you the truth, said John, glancing over his shoulder to make sure he hadn't been followed. The Lord and the devil are down there dividing souls, as I heard it with my own 2 ears. Well, John, why don't we both go down there and have a look? And if you're lying, I will give you 50 stripes laid across your hide. Threatened Master. Lay as many stripes as you like. I am telling you the truth. They are back there dividing up souls. John didn't particularly like to return to the cemetery, but back then white folks did as they pleased, while black folks did as they were told. So off he and Master went down the road. They stood there in the dark night, unable to see anything, and they heard a voice say, "You take this one, and I'll take that one. You take this one, and I'll take that one." Did I tell you, Master? That's them down there, the Lord and the devil, doing their business. Master thought he heard it right, but it wasn't something that he wanted to believe. Besides, it wouldn't do for his slave, any slave, to see that he was feeling a little bit of fright. "Shh," he whispered. "Let's get a little closer." Just as they reached the gate, the 2 fellows who had been dividing the potatoes came from the bottom of the gunny sack, and one of them was counting and remembered they dropped 2 potatoes as they entered the cemetery. "You take those 2, he said, "and I'll take the 2 by the gate." John and Master didn't waste a single word discussing it. They both started running like 2 deer trying to get out the pass of a forest fire. They passed each other again and again. And for that night, for the first time, Master ran faster than John. And he was already at the big house when John arrived. "Was I right, Master?" "I was right," he gasped, John, trying to catch up with his own breath. Master only nodded his head in agreement. He hadn't caught up with his own breath yet, either. Before he went inside, he carefully bolted and locked the door to the night, and anyone might be out there. But you can be sure and long. It was a long time before he ever doubted John's word again. Basically, that's the end of the story, but basically there were 2 kinds of slaves: field hands and house slaves. The field hands did most of the hard, physical labor on the plantation. They plowed the fields, they grew the crops, they chopped the wood, maintained the roads, and did just about everything else that could be worried to the bones. House slaves, on the other hand, had much an easier time. They worked in the big house, cooking, cleaning, polishing, and doing whatever made Master and his family more comfortable. The labor was clearly different, and generally so was the attitude. There were some house slaves who felt closer to the white makers than to the brothers and sisters in common bondage. For anyone, if their owner came down with an illness, they would hear them say, "Oh, Master, we're sure feeling sick today, aren't we?" Or, if there was some calamity in the barn burning down, they would say, "Oh, ain't it awful that our barn burned down?" Worse still, there were times when some of their own benefit to inform on other slaves. This, again, is a story from The Adventures of High John the Conqueror by Stephen Sansfield. It is from August House. I tell you, and I've said it before you go and purchase High John the Conqueror and try to work with it, know the stories that are behind it. Know where these legends come from. This is a must-go-to book for every black and brown family. So check it out. The Adventures of High John the Conqueror by Stephen Sansfield. It is published by August House.
Most of us at some point in our lives have somebody that means more to us than anybody else has ever meant before or will ever mean again. Sometimes it's a long-legged lady if you're a man, or some tall, very smooth man if you're a woman. And in some odd cases, they get kind of crossed up. We want to talk about those. But in my case, I learned how to really love somebody from not a very pretty lady, not at that point in their life, not sexy at all, but just a nice old lady who used some very nice old gnarled hands to make life kind of nice for me at that time when I really needed somebody. And it wasn't after I got older and started to look around for things. It was before I even knew what I was looking for. And probably, since I consider myself somebody who writes primarily, out of all the things that I might have written, my favorite thing that I've written has to be about this favorite old lady of mine. Grandma's hand clapped in church on Sunday morning. Grandma's hands played a tambourine so well. Grandma's hands used to issue out a warning. She'd say, Billy, don't you run so fast. Might fall on a piece of glass. Might be snakes there in that grass. Grandma's hand. Then Grandma's hands soothed the local unwed mother. Grandma's hands used to ache sometimes and swell. Oh, Grandma's hands used to lift her face and tell her, she'd say, baby, Grandma understands that you really love that band. Put yourself in Jesus' hands. Grandma's hands. Then Grandma's hands used to hand me a piece of candy. Grandma's hands picked me up each time I fell. Oh, Grandma's hands, boy, they really came in handy. She'd say, Matty, don't you whip that boy. What you wanna spank him for? He didn't drop no apple core, but I don't have Grandma anymore. If I get to heaven, I'll look for Grandma's hand.
That was Bill Withers with Grandma's Hands. I want to share with you a couple of things that I'm going to be doing soon. In the third week of January, I will be in Georgia, in Conyers, Georgia, visiting a little shop called Wicked Mojo. So if you happen to be around on the third week of January in and around Atlanta, Georgia, come on and check me out. I'm going to be giving a class there, and I'm also going to be doing readings there. So go on by there and check us out. There's going to be a whole bunch of things going on, guys, so do follow me on social media. I want to thank everybody that came in today, but I also want to thank my listeners on YouTube, our followers on YouTube, the followers on iHeartRadio and iTunes. Thank you, guys. Without you guys, this would not be possible. I know the show has gone through a whole bunch of changes, but people tell me they like the changes that are going on. I thank all of you. Now, just to remind you, if you did not catch the beginning of the show, guys, I really want you to listen to it. There is help out there for our brothers, okay? The sisters are doing retreats. They're doing things to save and heal themselves. I think it's time for us to do the same. So go ahead and check that out, okay, guys? I ask you all to give each other a helping hand. I ask each and every one of you to give this holiday season. Remember that there are more less fortunate people than you. Well, I guess it's time for me to say goodbye. As always, may all the egoons and shadows that accompany you have all the necessary light. From where Candelo Kimbisa sits, that's it. Salam alaikum. And this is Watching You from Slave.
Walking down the street, watching ladies go by, watching you. Walking down the street, watching ladies go by, watching you. Watching you. Watching you. Watching you. Watching you. Looking at the ladies, all of them fine, all of them so lovely. I can't make up my mind, but I'm looking at you from the corner of my eye. I can see you now. You're stepping so high and walking down the street, watching ladies go by, watching you. One look down, I was hooked on you, baby. Whoa. Walking down the street, watching ladies go by, watching you. Watching you. Watching you. Watching you. There you go, swaying, blowing my mind. You've got everything, moving in time. God gave her beauty, she carries it well. I'm staring at your heart, baby, hoping you can tell. Walking down the street, watching ladies go by, watching you. Hoping you can tell that I'm watching you. Walking down the street, watching ladies go by, watching you. With a naked eye, baby, whoa. Walking down the street, watching ladies go by, watching you. You're far away, but I can still see you clearly. Whoa. Walking down the street, watching ladies go by, watching you. Watching you. Love at first sight. Ooh, baby, you're blowing my mind. Ooh, I just got to let you know. Energy flowing. I said it feels so good. I gotta tell you, my name is Stevie. What's yours, baby? Walking down the street, watching ladies go by, watching you. I'm watching you and only you, baby. Walking down the street, watching ladies go by, watching you. You're blowing my mind.
It's 12 o'clock somewhere was brought to you by The Conjure Shop, Love Supply Botanica, TheMotownWitch.com, and of course, kimbisa.org.